Yeah, that's true.
Tools require someone who knows how to use them in the car.
I'm bringing somebody.
I hope.
If you prep properly for one lap, like we talked about, the car's not going to break in any significant way. So like a basic Harbor Freight couple toolkit
Just
is
a
all you need.
tool case. Okay.
Yeah.
No worries.
Or if there's any particular specialty tool you need, fine, but that's it.
All right, that was all last week. Can we start this week's show?
Wait,
I don't know. Are you ready to actually play the thing and record?
Of course I'm ready to play the
You
thing.
are? No way.
I am.
Now I know we're all recording, but do we have screen share?
Of course we have screen share.
Who says of course? Come on.
We have it all.
All right. I love it. I love it.
Welcome to Everyone Racers,
a show designed for the world of low-dollar racing
and oddball car culture.
It doesn't matter what kind of Limit Champ or Lucky Track Dog League you run.
SCCA or NASA, we won't discriminate.
as long as you drive it hard and build it yourself.
Join us each week for tech discussions,
Tips and tricks, as well as news and notes.
From the world of amateur endurance racing.
And whether it's on the spot, hello sweet when we're lucky enough, and Chrissy.
And I give you just the tip.
We're sure you'll giggle a little and learn even less.
Everyone report to the paddock.
This is Chris.
This is Chrissy.
I'm Jeff.
Oh God.
And I'm mental.
Oh, and we are Everyone Racers, actually. Welcome to Birrana, I was going to say, episode of our podcast. It's episode 274. The Birrana was an Australian race car maker from 1971 to 1978, and then again in the 90s. It was headed by racing driver and engineer Malcolm Ramsey. In 1974, the company introduced the Birrana 274, an Australian F2 car. It was used by Leo Giggleham, maybe, to win the 1974 Australian Formula 2 Championship. Jeff Brabham also took a 274 to victory the following year for the 1975 Australian Formula 2 Championship. Not driving your upside down F2 race car to the national title. Grab your UNR bingo card. Sorry, I struggled through that one. You might win, so get your bingo card out because that one's going to be great. There is a link in our show notes to all of the stuff that I just said if you'd like to learn about it more.
It's a cool looking car. I clicked the link, but Australian 1974 F2 car? I think we're stretching a little.
It's on news day.
Definitely.
It was either that or the next the 274 Honda, which was played out. So yeah,
there are definitely some mid-strength beers involved in the design of that car. No doubt.
All right, let's move on. We got a lot to do today. Chris, I know what you're working on, but why don't you tell the listeners?
Mazda exhaust, which basically we're starting over from scratch because I had originally kept the stock manifold that included a close coupled cat and kind of welded some bits onto it to make it better. It worked fine for a while, and then it just proceeded to not work. So then, what was that, Chrissy?
I would turn my video off for a second because I needed to fix something, and
got it. Well, you were just looking at the kitchen. Sorry.
Yeah, we checked.
So we're like, what are we looking at in the kitchen there?
The kitchen exhaust. Kitchen exhaust.
I'm like, is the cat? No.
Sorry, I meant.
Anyway, so we needed something that after that fell apart once, and then the flex joint that I had in the system broke apart twice, which cost us a B-class win in New Hampshire. I said, we're going to redo this and make it better. Also, for the exhaust always has rattled on the subframe in that car because the muffler was too big and the exhaust expands too much. So we're going to fix all these problems. So I got a actual header from MSDS. The header part fit great. The downpipe required a bit of fab and changing, but okay. It's all in now with a new muffler that is smaller, that has much more room to move before it rattles on things. And I put 3 coats of ceramic coating on the header that a certain ceramist friend of ours had provided last year, and it was still good enough. Part A, I needed a little mixing. It was getting a little gelatinous, but mixed that up and it was okay.
Shelf life.
Yep. But 3 coats of that on there and put everything in. Had a couple hiccups. One of the studs in the cylinder head that the manifold bolts on had had threaded out at some point, and someone had put it back on, it was never threaded in 100%, so it didn't engage all the threads. So when I was trying to tighten the nut, it was actually pulling the threads out of the head. But fortunately, I was able to run a tap all the way down it, and there were still some deeper threads in there that were able to engage. So cleaned everything up, put it in with some thread locker, and was able to salvage that without having to helicoil it. Which
I don't know whether I was the last person to do that.
It's all right,
I know
whatever.
I was that one person to do that.
I don't know who it was. Doesn't matter. It's fixed now. But it also took a fair amount of time to customize it because it's just a bare header. And I wanted to put heat shields on it because endurance racing. So I had a couple of spare Mazda heat shields, one from the car that we had and one from a different Mazda. And so I took them and cut them up and riveted them back together, and then had to cut all the heat shield mounts off the old manifolds and weld them in new spots on the new one and whatnot. But it is now very nicely heat shielded, ceramic coated, installed, new muffler, and damn, is it loud.
I like loud.
The stock Cat apparently provided a significant amount of sound deadening too, because the muffler is basically the same size as it was before, and the car was fairly quiet before.
We
Like
woke
it
up
was
neighbors
kind of
and
nice.
like scared animals that live outside, and
Yeah,
Is it
it's
is
not
it
as
Godzilla loud?
well. I don't know its speed yet. I've only kind of barely had it, and I started up at 9:15 at night just to see if it worked, and it did. And I went, I
neighbors.
can't run this for very long, right? Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
shut it
So
down.
depending on how it is the speed, I may have to weld a resonator in the mid pipe because there is some room in the mid pipe or something. So, but anyway, that
You
is
can
done. The
drive around
Mazda,
this weekend.
I can't actually, because it's off the insurance as of December 1st, because I expected to have it all done by then. Anyway,
If only
has-
you knew like how to add cars to insurance.
Well, it's on winter storage cutoff. There's no liability on it. I don't want to take that off right now. That's the
so
problem.
you didn't drop the insurance. You just have it on.
No, I just
winter
have it on winter storage,
storage. Yeah,
along
that's
with the NSX and the Corvette and stuff. They just sit in the garage. What am I going to, let's take all the liabilities off of it.
Nice.
So anyway, but that car is actually one evening away from being race ready in the spring. It just needs tires swapped, brake fluid bled, and coolant taken out for water, and it is ready to drive in Pittsburgh. So that's nice.
Very nice.
I'll also split another cord and a half of wood. Finally done splitting wood.
Did you still have the machine rented, or did you rent it again?
No, I rented it again.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I didn't keep it around for 3 weeks doing nothing. It's nice about renting tools is you need it. Okay, just go get it. Give the man a few dollars, and you don't have to store it, maintain it, do anything like that.
You don't really have to clean it either. Like you take it
No.
to them. Like
I didn't even fill it full of gas. Nope. Here's your machine. Have a nice day. You fix it. It didn't break, but still. This one, the lever was actually set up in the more logical way of down means down and up means up. So I think someone put the hoses on backwards on the last one. Or
I remember you saying it was like some sort of safety thing. Like if you fall on it.
that was
it will
my only
slowly
assumption.
crush
Like
your
I was
foot.
trying to figure out like why is this backwards? And I said, all right, I can see it being a safety thing for falling and leaning on it and cutting your leg off. But this one was the other way, which was nicer. I had to
There is
relearn my
something
muscle
to be
memory though.
said, for being comfortable using a dangerous machine.
Yeah, whatever. All the wood is finally split. A lot of wood. Yeah. Jeff, what are you up to?
I had another weekend of scout stuff, Boy Scout stuff. We went to the Army Navy game on Saturday and raised a substantial amount of money for the troop simply by like having cute kids shake a bucket and shame their military friends.
You
Like,
literally just
"Hi,
asked for donations.
will you donate to our troop?"
Really?
And then like somebody in the group would be like, "Well, I was an Eagle Scout and I'm going to give these kids money." And then all the other ones would go, "I guess we have to too."
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, and
Right.
then they're all fumbling, trying to one up each other because
Is that the panhandling badge?
it was.
Okay.
Exactly. Well, it's funny because like last week at the meeting,
I think I have that one. I think I
Yeah.
can give you the actual badge.
It's a panhandling badge. Duh.
That one.
Our a bunch
Well,
of the
scout
boys,
for food. Oh wait, that's a
Exactly.
thing. Damn it.
a bunch of the parents were like, "Oh, will you update my son's book for the service hours they did this weekend?" And I was like, "That wasn't service. We asked
You
for
literally
money.
just asked
Yeah.
for
We
money.
didn't
was
help anyone. That does not count."
God,
Yeah,
that's
so
funny.
but we did do a service project because on Sunday, again, it was a full scout weekend. One of the other kids one of the other 17-year-olds who's about to turn 18 and age out had to finish his Eagle Scout project. So
That
we
makes
were,
him a kid.
yeah.
I suppose.
So we were putting fish habitats into a lake. So check this out. So take a not a Harbor Freight bucket, like a Home Depot bucket or whatever, and you fill it with concrete. And then in that concrete, you put a bunch of like broken bits of plastic that are like really tall, like 3 feet tall, like vertical blinds and crap like that, and like vinyl siding. And then they all kind of like bloom out like a flower, and that's like a fish habitat. And then you just drop it in a lake. I'm like, I feel like I'm like hurting the environment. They're like, no, the fish love it. Whatever.
We asked them.
I mean, you might as well just nail a couple pallets together into a little A-frame and drop that in. That seems, yeah, okay.
Or, like we've been told, recycle your car batteries by throwing them in the ocean.
And tires, I hear. Yep.
Tires, actually.
Well, the batteries recharge the electric heels.
It's good. I like that.
Will they have to plug in again?
Yeah. If only we had a
Oh.
scientist here who could tell us things. But anyway, so that I did receive the PowerFlex bushings for the RX-7 steering rack. So hopefully we'll do some actual car work this weekend coming up.
Do that?
It's going to be a lovely 38 degrees.
38 and dry is not a problem.
Cool.
Oh, no.
No. Anyway,
Great.
Mental, what you got going?
Something that we only do once or twice a year. I raked leaves. So we got all our leaves up that fall
You
from
have
our
trees?
We do. I have 3 cottonwood trees, and
Oh.
we had a rainstorm coming this weekend, so I got them all up so they wouldn't end up in our pool. Bagged all those up. Dropped the RV off this morning for the insurance work that we'll be doing, and then we had our company Christmas party at the famous Las Vegas National Golf Club, where the FBI once crashed a plane into a water hazard while watching mobsters play golf and ran it out of gas. When the new owners of the National Golf Club took over back in 2007, they went and bought a exact same model of Cessna and placed it in the same water hazard. And it's also Sammy Davis Jr. had a house out there. Dean Martin, they all had houses along the golf course. It was
And that was
Vicky and I-
reenacted
Vicky
in
and
the
I-
movie Casino.
correct. And Vicky and I totally nerded out. Frank Sinatra's piano was in the clubhouse where we had our thing. It was a good time. Yeah.
How many dings are in that Cessna now? Because I'm sure it's a target.
That's a good point. I don't know.
I actually thought you meant like ding, ding. Like
Bill, you might have to
Ding,
change
more
your
Corvettes.
your update, as I think we have a one Cessna story. Never mind, one Cessna crash story per show.
Oh, okay. I'll change it.
No, you can do it. We'll be okay. I'll put
that
in
was
a writ.
technically a one Cessna historical reference.
Okay.
True.
So
Sure.
But now it's always funny because Chrissy always goes, how it is doing. But Chrissy, what were you working on?
stacking wood. Not done yet. Still have more pile to work on, but we're out of pallets right now, so we have to find a pallet.
I know a guy with pallets.
Oh, well, it's a little harder to get from you. We could just go dumpster. Oh, sweet. I shouldn't talk about dumpster diving again. So we'll figure out how to
show
source them.
notes. Chrissy
But,
dumpster
look,
dives
anytime-
again.
Anytime somebody sees an Escalade, they just assume you're going dumpster diving. It's
No,
fine.
I told them, I said, Chris, you're gonna have to figure out how to get your pallets. No, I'm just gonna ask before they have to dumpster dive because I know the people that put them into the dumpster. I could just be like, could you just like leave that out of the dumpster?
Which that's a win-win because then they're like, yeah, then we don't have to lift these things
Right?
up over the
Right?
dumpster wall.
This is not this hard. Anyway, okay, that's what I'm doing. So you heard him a little bit. You know that voice. You probably listened to his show or their show. Our guest host is a co-host of Garage Heroes and Training Podcast, close friend, fellow racer, Bill Fisher. What you up to?
I am apparently a fully converted disciple of all things Honda, and we are
Woo.
working on a Civic, and we are working on three fits, and trying to get everything ready for Sunday Cup / One Lap of America /
You're up to 3 fits now. So the blue one, the red one, and
we have a black one now.
okay. Same
Yeah.
generation, same everything.
Yeah, they just keep coming. I don't know where they come from. It's like you just add
Magic.
water and boom. And then
After midnight, yeah.
Yeah, what happens on the hangar stays in the hangar. Speaking of what happens at the hangar, we had waited for someone to fix the hangar wall where the airplane chose to play lawn darts with our hangar, and so it wasn't getting fixed, and it was getting quite cold. So break out the persuader and some rivets, and we repaired it, and at least it's airtight and looks okay, not too bad. And then basically podcast editing for the holidays, because we have so many episodes ahead because we didn't know
I
who
was
was
going to
doing
say
it.
you're quite backed up because you just released
Yeah.
like the New Hampshire episodes.
Yeah. Well, that one
So-
wasn't late. That was just everybody was sick, so we just recorded them actually. But yeah, we had plenty of episodes, and
Editing's
Allison.
for chumps.
I know I know it is, but if you had the raw recordings of our podcast, you would know why we edit. So
Besides, who else is going to put in like the robot sounds for
exactly. Yes. The non E-rated podcast has to edit certain things and certain people, and some people more than others, but that's okay.
Does not
So,
compute. Does not
Yes,
compute.
I know. Edit foreign concept. I got it. I'm with you. That's it for me.
Cool.
Yep.
Do it, Chrissy, before Jeff does and screws it up.
I was looking for a picture because I have a picture of the Cessna in the wall.
Well, why don't
Just
you
gonna
just
put
read
it
your
up.
story? Because it's news and notes time right now.
Okay, I can do that.
And we
They
know
say-
this because she announced it.
I know. Well, I'm
It's
saying
our
I
first
wasn't.
show. I'm sorry.
I wasn't going to interrupt because I was looking at my phone.
Just read the damn
I'm
notes.
doing it right now. They say young people aren't interested in cars, but we see signs everywhere that tell us otherwise, including a new auto news website, the Check Engine Light website, built and hosted by Josh Clayman. You may know him as the Dishwashing Fairy Jr., but he's never actually washed our dishes, so I guess we really can't call him that. But he is the devoted son of our devoted teammate and occasional Lemons judge, Steve, the Dishwashing Fairy. He's leveraging his experience as a young enthusiast and driver for a major auto auction in Atlanta to give his take on cars. He sees as well as news from the automotive world, including a recent trip to SEMA, his take on the new Integra, Mustang Mach-E. It's worth a click. It's a pretty snazzy website. I'm a little jealous. Of course, I put about 10 seconds of effort into our website, but it looks nice.
Looks like at least 15 seconds though.
Exactly.
Somebody actually tried.
But yeah, link in the show notes. Give a little newbie a chance and click on it, read a couple stories. I actually read his SEMA coverage. I liked it.
Okay. Most people agree that holiday travel is the worst.
The worst.
The crowds, the weather, and many people are definitely not all about the holiday spirit. But Samantha Kubota at the TodayShow.com shares a tale that can easily be a lifetime holiday movie of the week. After a flight cancellation left passengers stranded in Orlando, a woman took charge and shouted that anyone who wanted to try driving a rented vehicle could join her. The line was super long. I was like, I'm just going to let my mom handle it. And Elena story with said Elena with a story with a laugh. So she yells at me, Elena, we're headed downstairs with this van with all these people. So with 13 people rented a van, drove 10 hours north to their final destination of Knoxville, Tennessee. Elena's shared a series of TikToks about their circumstances, introduced the cast of characters. It's a real life, heartwarming tale of good folks solving problems and helping other fellow humans.
13 people in a 15 passenger van. I hope they didn't have a whole lot of bags.
On your lap, under the seat.
Because once you put
Around
that many
you.
people in a van, there is not a lot of space.
It wasn't supposed to be comfortable, but if they were going to get somewhere.
But they were flying on Frontier, so I'm guessing
It's a
way
step
more
up.
comfortable than the airline.
yeah.
And you probably-
100%.
They didn't have to pedal.
And they,
And they
didn't
didn't
have,
get
they
their
probably
air
didn't have
measured.
many bags anyway because it costs for you to breathe. So they were like, hey,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I
they're
get to
charging for
breathe.
air on Frontier Airlines. And I know
Pretty
Chris is trying to
much.
read a story, but there's the TikTok. It really is a cool story. My wife found that. And
Huh?
yeah.
Okay. Hey,
I'll
in
follow
news,
it later.
when you hit the lottery, and that's kind of news, Mercedes is introducing a new customer race special. Chris Swee at the Drive tell us about a move that will surely resonate with the tech barons that'll buy this car. Its new steering wheel was co-developed with sim racing wheel maker Cube Controls. All right, AMG's customer racing division now has a new GT2 car that will be sold along with the GT3 and GT4 options. As you've guessed, it's based on the AMG GT. How many GTs can I say? It will be the most powerful customer homologated race car AMG has ever sold since introducing their customer purchase race cars a dozen years ago. 707 horsepower, 590 foot-pounds from its flat crank 4-liter twin turbo V8. Going to weigh less
That's
than
healthy.
3,086 pounds, and that includes air conditioning, naturally. Sequential 6-speed trans mounted on the rear axle. Suspension is completely tunable by shocks and roll bars, as is the massive rear wing. Wheels are single lug center locks, and the whole car is set with carbon fiber for the hood and canards and vents. And if you have to ask to them how much, you can't afford it. Be cool to look at, though.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's
Doesn't look- I think
cartoonish.
Doesn't look that different.
Yeah,
It's the ambiguously gay duo.
it
They
is.
just made it
Yeah,
flesh.
it
It'd be
is.
perfect.
Bulbous news.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh.
Who else got something to say?
All right, we're going to be talking about going legit racing, and this is actually a listener-inspired episode, which is no means meant to disparage our fellow humble entry-level endurance racers. In fact, a lot of you probably don't even want to risk that beloved, hella super cool Homer Mobile BMW or your ambiguously gay duo Penis Mobile, or any of those other legendary cars if you're going to go wheel to wheel with serious racers, because they're not going to respect it. Or, say, for example, you're some long-haired hippie looking guy with a penchant for renting seats in other folks' very well-constructed Mazdas, Hondas, or even Solstice, and you don't own a race car because you're some kind of desert dwelling ride mooch. In any
Wow.
of those cases,
Wow.
Racing Junk has you covered. And we're going to go through just a handful of some really sweet, actual, no kidding race cars that Racing Junk has available right now, to include for $1,500 an actual podium finishing Suzuki Swift. Oh, and then I am, on that one. This one's run the runoffs on that one. It does need a head gasket. You've also got, and there are going to be links to all of these in our show notes. You've got an improved touring. So an ITS Probe GT. This is only $2,500, but if you're looking to spend a little bit more,
That's
You
still
can-
dirt cheap for a
Yes.
car with a logbook.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Now here's an ITS, and it's actually local to me here in Las Vegas, $7,500 ITSTL Mazda RX-7, a first gen RX-7. You've also got
That's pretty
a-
much very similar to the one we bought.
this is a
different
hell of,
generation,
Different generation.
Yeah.
but
about same price.
this is a hell of a deal. This is a
It is.
full up caged spec Miata for $9,500, and that's with the hard top and the wheels, and it looks fantastic.
Hard tops are
Is
like
it
$2,000 right
caged?
now.
Is it caged? Because it says it's an autocross car.
It says roll bar,
Okay.
so you
Hmm.
have to finish that one. We've also got, in case Bill needs another fit,
Another fit.
here
Yeah,
is a
say stuff like that.
2015 that is a second generation B-spec Honda Fit. So you could actually run Pirelli World Challenge Series in this car. It's
I think it's a
13.5.
third gen even.
Yeah.
That's
Right,
too
because-
too new for me.
Oh,
You've
here's
got
my jam right here.
the Mazda Protege.
Protege. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And this is a full up time trial 6 car. It's all caged. There are 21 pictures of this car on that one. And they
What's
only
going on with
want
the stagger there, Chris?
9,000.
See that?
Yeah, it looks wrong. It's backwards. It's like rear drive stagger, but whatever.
Looks cool.
Well,
Looks
I
cool.
wonder if that's partially because it's in a corner. On
Check
that
out the
photo.
poke,
No,
yo.
looks cool.
Oh,
Looks cool. Goes slow. Yeah.
I think here's a little more reasonable. I think it was because that one was in the turn.
Yeah, it could
But-
be.
Or
it's got a lot of tire under it.
It's got
Yeah.
a lot of tire.
Or the last one here, you could get one of those old school Long Beach
Oh.
Celebrity Grand Prix Celicas. And this
Is
is
an
out here.
actual Long Beach Grand Prix ST204 for those of you,
You can
who know
you can tell
Celicas.
by the flat tires.
Yeah. And it's located just near LAX. So It's got 17,000 miles, and they said they've got about 700 track miles. This one's probably going to need a refresh on it, but yeah, these are all legitimate, cool race cars. So as we're always telling everybody, it's free to browse and free to post on Racing Junk, but it's a great way. And as we start getting into legitimate, you don't want to risk your totally awesome Ombre or your engine swap car is not going to fit into one of those classes. Just buy something straight off a Racing
Or
Junk.
maybe you just jumped series and you need something with a logbook. Flash forward to our topic for tonight.
Foreshadowing.
Great.
That's awesome.
Okay. Race results.
The Scrodium 5. What is the Kim Harmon Scrodium 500?
It is.
Yep.
It is, right? I just didn't know if the 500 was still there.
Why not?
Kim's
Sure.
still there.
Yeah, we'll shout out some of these. Winner EIOE Jeff Gordon's Racing Monte Carlo Z34. That's the Gordon's Fisherman Fish Sticks version. eBay Motors Halloween versus meets gasoline. The Disciples of GRU GRU Honda Civic. I assume that's some sort of Minions theme
Oh
going
yeah,
on
they
there.
were. If you look at the pictures, they were dressed as Minions all weekend.
Oh, I didn't see the pictures.
Mhm.
Judges org choice, the youngsters Pontiac Fiero. Judges choice, total depravity Jeep Grand Cherokee. Heroic fix Team Bad Dream Subaru Impreza. I got screwed, went to the Goes Like Hell Some More Racing Shelby Charger. We could do this, I guess this is the regional award. We couldn't do this without you on the Ungringo Racing Datsun 280Z. And now for your winners on laps. Class C, the Thin Blue Swine Ford Thunderbird. Overall Class A, Burp Racing in their E36. But shout out to our boy, big sexy Darren with the Coronas in his 300E, bringing home the Class B.
I think that might just
Know that
have
there
been
was. Oh,
Dan.
go ahead. What'd I say?
So Dan Ironman, my Ironman a car. I'm pretty sure it's that one. So I don't think it was Darren.
Darren was in the picture, high-fiving them all.
Great.
There was
All
a
the same
different-
team.
I think
all the same
Darren
team.
bought one of the three. They brought another.
They had a
I
different
think this
one that
is-
was
This is the
leading.
old 300, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
white
With the
one.
huge, with
The
the
white and
factory
yellow
gas,
one.
the factory gas tank that is 24 gallons.
Oh, that can
Wow.
go into all of them. It's out of
Well-
the 95 diesel.
All right, so we're not
Everybody-
sure who won, but we
That's
know it was
fine.
the Coronas.
Dan Ironman a car. I don't know if we knew that or if you guys knew that. I saw it on Facebook.
And does anyone know the story behind our boy from the South who
Yes,
had a little
he,
incident? Florida man,
he-
Donnie. We heard he got a little banged up.
He kissed the wall in the Thunderbird.
Yep.
But had to go to the actual hospital, and it's a shame because this is his birthday weekend. And so we of
Bill is holding
course-
up his hand. Did he break his hand or something?
Yes.
Oh,
Right,
Yeah.
right hand. Man, it's gonna really cut into his leisure time.
I know he's going to see how the other half lives.
Called the stranger, Chris. You should check it out. Even
right.
Chrissy got that one.
I don't think she wanted to though. Get well soon, Dr. Donnie.
Seriously,
Absolutely.
Donnie, we're glad you're safe, but we get well soon.
All right, the National 22 24 Hours Lemons Awards are out, and congrats to Lemons lunatic Neil Losi, national champion and 3 regional championships. Did he get to every single race this year?
He did.
He did.
absolutely
Wow,
Mm.
that's insane. Well done.
Yeah.
Congrats to Breaking Bad for the team championship out of the Gulf and Southern region. They went big, and we won the East, which not a big deal. Basically, because Towley won twice, and the Cressida just doesn't
Just top
stop.
5 like constantly.
Yep.
What's
that, Bill?
Bill doing there? He's got like a 9.
We came in ninth
Nice. This might be our ninth.
Overall or in the East?
East.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This might be our 9th East. I don't know. We'll find out. We never added it up. Yeah. So well done for also Darren Big Sexy, 3rd in the national championship, and
Ooh.
doing well in the Southern and Eastern points with Towley. So, and the Mercedes.
I think Breaking Bad took the appropriate attitude of their national championship of calling everyone else losers and telling them all to get bent, a little over the top. And if you've ever run with that team, that's just kind of how they are. It's very good. I'm glad that they took that responsibility seriously as
That's
national effing champions. It's
Yeah,
great.
you have to be very humble about it. And make
right.
sure you never say anything at all.
Don't brag. It's gonna come
Yeah.
back to bite you.
Your car is going to break. So
Oh, their cars
God.
break all the time. Those guys, those guys just show up full tilt and they don't stop until they put everything on the trailer and go home. It genuinely is a hilarious team that really does get the spirit of the entire thing.
that's
Very
great.
nice. Of course, our good friend from Momrath won the East Coast Championship driver points. So shout out to Amanda. Put that up on her Facebook. And does she have to thank the 3-Pedal Mafia because one of her wins was in a 3-Pedal Mafia car?
I
Doesn't
think
have
this-
to. But
I think Tally should thank Amanda for letting them win. So
That's
True.
true.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true,
but-
because really she was gonna win.
exactly.
Never mind. Whatever. Listener feedback time. Tim Burr reacted recently to like the show 2 shows ago, and he's had another great gift idea. He says it's a silicone reusable molded sheet that is a flexible funnel.
Mhm.
To which I didn't know whether he meant just get like a silicone sheet and make a flexible funnel, or whether they actually sell this, because he didn't give a link or anything. So I
They
don't know.
sell them.
Oh, okay.
Yep. You can just Google that. Let me,
Yeah.
Well,
let me
I
Google
did.
Let me
that for
just
you,
I was
Jeff.
like,
that
I
for
don't
you.
care. I don't need a flexible funnel. Do you know how many funnels I have at my house? Every time I clean out an old man's garage, there's a stack of like 9 funnels.
I think you have that problem with like everything.
Yep.
It also, you never throw anything away or give anything
So
away, Jeff. Clean out your own
freaking
garage.
True.
Fine.
Oh.
All these old men keep taking his cleanup time.
How about okay? Anyway,
Now, several posts came from Tom B, and that's Eric Kritzer, who was a guest on our show talking about the One Lap of America, and he was Eric's teammate in that 914. So he had lots to add. And the first that is, quote, don't think that because One Lap of America is run in May that it's going to be warm. Having a working heater is a must. Facts.
It's not only cold, but it was raining. So yes, heater and blower would be good. We had the plan of each of us running certain tracks, but I think we changed that plan when we realized it was okay for both of us to. Oh, this is what he keeps running.
This is
these
these next
ones are all
okay.
from
I
Tom.
think, okay.
Yeah.
This is confusing. I think we changed that plan when we realized it was okay for both of us to run the same track. But as Chris said, you'll lose the benefit of getting the second shot at a better lap time.
He also said he didn't install Kirkies because they were cheap or light, but so that he could fit his 6'2" self in a 914 with his helmet on. So he upgraded them with a back support pad and removable memory foam bottoms for the commute. I'm sure that helped a lot. I know it did.
It helps a little. Let's not say a
Yeah.
lot.
Not enough.
Facetious. That was
Yeah.
me. Thanks.
He closed up saying, "Will the next one lap be in a 914?" Because we asked Eric that, and he said maybe. But the Cayman is getting a lot of upgrades. Hint, hint, clue, clue. I also mentioned that, hey, when we have him on for our next one, when we have the next one lap show, we're probably going to throw him an invite because he seemed to have a lot of interesting things.
Yeah.
And we
Tom's a
love
nice
Tom.
guy. Good
Yeah.
driver. Yep.
All right. Now, we also posted a link to the Kyle Smith article over on Haggerty about the 25 hours of Thunderhill. And Ashley Doyle said, quote, I liked it. Mental missed the free coffee. Not like he needs a ton of coffee to be talkative anyway, but I can be the same. Glad y'all had a good time, even though the car broke. And I just want to add, I got the coffee anyway, Ashley. Link to
Man,
that
is
article
there-
is in our show notes.
Was there something wrong with the coffee? What's going on with the coffee?
It's in the article.
You have to read the article,
Got it.
Bill.
Bill
never
Brown,
has
it's
any.
you.
Oh, sorry. I've got 2 different colors. I didn't realize that. He also posted a link to the Apex Adjacent podcast, and it was a reasonable length. And I said, do you mean like 3+ hours, or it's just not done right? Because we've had Mental on, and he is the record holder. 3+ hours.
Just doesn't let the truth get in the way of a good yarn.
Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely. Mental, I checked out the episode. It was great. I threw a couple comments on the YouTube. So hopefully
It's a good show. You should be listening to those guys.
absolutely.
Yeah, they're-
Apex adjacent.
Yes.
You know
Hey,
who
who's-
always listens to Apex Adjacent and always keeps it a reasonable length?
Wow.
I
Okay.
was gonna say whose coffee is never really a problem.
Coffee is always free and hot and ready.
Oh, that's a good one. Yep.
And-
Sure.
There you go.
And the person who our theme was named after.
Much.
Yep.
Hi, Chrissy's
It's
mom.
it's
Thanks,
3
Bill.
questions, 1 answer. Chrissy's mom.
Yep.
Hello.
There
Exactly.
you go.
Yay.
I like that in the wrap-up show from the Lemons officials, Jay thought Chrissy was the name of your wife.
Well,
Like
you know.
Chrissy's mom was Vicky,
Yes.
and they were
And-
talking about her own cookies. It's
Yes. And then we
it's
had somebody else who thought that we were sponsored by some
some
cookie
like
company
corporation
that's
called
named Chrissy's Mom's
Nope,
Cookies.
Just,
So
my mom.
I was like, no, our sponsorship record remains intact. 0.
Oh boy.
Create your own.
Exactly.
So
Okay.
sorry, I was gonna yell, but you got to it. This is like 2 shows in a row that we've answered the same freaking listener and gave him an entire topic. So I hope you like it, and if not, you can email in and blame Bill.
No.
I
This
didn't
did
do this
not
one.
come from this
Oh,
did
this
not
isn't
come from
Bill.
Bill.
Oh, I
No,
thought
this
this
came
Different
from
listener.
this came from a West Coast team.
Oh,
They were running Sonoma the same weekend. I was running the 25 hours of Thunderhill, and they genuinely started thinking, hey, how hard is it to make the jump from this entry level endurance stuff to finger quote serious racer? And it's not the impossibility that it once was, and it's not difficult to do. And depending on where you fall in the experience level of the entry level endurance racer, it might be simpler than you think. We asked Bill on because Bill has done it. Bill is a fully licensed NASA instructor and competitor. He's also done a lot of racing with Grid Life. And I'm running out here with the Vintage Auto Racing Association and doing some NASA events. And I even drug Pantless Matt with me for a couple of events with the same team. So it can be done. And we're here to show you some of the different paths.
Indeed.
Fantastic.
all right. Who's opening this shindig?
I guess I'll start because I did all this research on this last night. So well, I'm going to go through some of the NASA options. Someone else can go through the SCCA stuff that I have
got
later,
some
but
SCCA stuff.
I also poured through rule books so
Oh,
you
I'm
don't
so
have
sorry.
to. Yep, it was terrible. Anyway, so NASA has really lots of ways that you can get your competition license. First one's easy. Complete their, well, it's not really easy, but it's a nice way to go if you're starting from scratch. Complete their HPDE system. Go through HPDE 1 through 4, and then apply for your competition license once you've proven yourself competent. How often you participate, how quickly you progress determines how long it's going to take. But this is probably the best way to go from 0 to hero, is to go full send with your local NASA region and do as many events as you can and talk to people. And props to, I'm just going to put this out there for the Great Lakes region for having clearly the best HPD program anywhere in the East Coast that I know of. Mental.
He's not just blowing smoke. I'm a PCA instructor, and one of the former chair out here who now sits on the national PCA board. They are Porsche Club of America is directly modeling their instructor program based on the NASA Great Lakes region, because it is considered the standard, the gold standard of how to properly train drivers at every level.
Yeah, it is so much better than Northeast or Mid-Atlantic. It's not even funny. They do a great job out there. Okay, next, if you have previous experience with other racing organizations, many times they can issue a license based on that experience. So if you have a comp license to other series, talk to them. They'll probably work something out. Third, if you have attended a competition school outside of NASA or one of NASA schools, you can apply for a comp license. So if you've done Skip Barber, Bertle Roos, one of those kind of things, that'll get you most of the way. They said they won't give you a comp license if that's all you've ever done. But how many people only ever do the comp school and never did an HPD, never did track, never did anything? Right. Very, very few. You did something else too. So that's an easy way to get a lot of experience at once. Now, if you have a lot of experience but no racing history, they say you can show up to a NASA event in your region and ask for a checkout ride on one of their HPDE sessions. So they're going to watch you drive, watch your track behavior, probably talk to you a lot, see how much you actually really know, and maybe let you apply for a comp license. Bill, you had a thought on that?
Yeah, they often will let you skip HPDE levels if they won't let you go to a comp license, so you can get placed in an appropriate level. So you can go to first weekend, you can go to like HPD 3 or 4 if you test out, kind of.
Yeah, then you miss the benefit of instruction at most of them, though. So sometimes
True.
hang out in one, just go in the front of the pack and enjoy the
Yes.
instruction for a little while.
Yes.
Great. Fifth is they have their NASA Team Racing Endurance Challenge. That's mostly Great Lakes, I think, that is running those compared to the other regions from the schedule I saw.
West Coast has it, but they're calling it the work
Yeah.
challenge instead of the trek.
Yeah. So similar, if you complete 6 Trek Enduros, then you can apply for your comp license, but you're not required to have one to run.
And I saw the. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Chrissy.
What is enduro to them?
4 hours, basically.
Thank you.
Some of
Good
the events
question.
are 2 hours. Some of the events are 4 hours.
Some go
Are-
longer.
The ones I saw on the schedule from 22 only were 2 and 4.
I literally ran a 2 hour, a 4 hour, a 3.5, and a 6.5 with
Oh.
NASA out here on the West Coast.
Yeah.
Nice. Do they expect teams to do that, or they expect the same person?
At least 2 people.
At
you
least
can-
2 people. So
you
even like
can-
the 2 hour,
can-
you got to split 1 and 1.
You can do a single, but you're required to take a break in between. A lot of people use it for test time.
Oh, I do see there's one I'm looking at the 22 schedule, excuse me. 6 hour, only one of them at Gingerman. The rest
Gingerman.
are
Yeah, that's the
4,
longest day of the
4,
year.
1, 3, 4, 6. Oh, that's at the longest day. Oh, very good.
Yeah.
The NASA SoCal does not have that requirement. I posted early this year when we met Alice, the girl who did a 3.5 hour enduro in her Thunder Roadster.
Yeah, Thunder Roadsters are awesome.
And then she totally got hooked because then she showed up at the 25 hours of Thunderhill in an E30 that her father built. So it was her father, and another teammate ran the 25 hours of Thunderhill this year.
That's
Wonder why she
awesome.
didn't bring her Thunder Roadster. Oh, probably because it was a rental.
No, it's hers. She built
Oh.
it. That was her COVID project.
That would have been
But
made it great.
it was pouring down rain. I think they wanted a roof.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I get that.
Absolutely.
And
I
more
love
than
those Thunder
more than
Roadsters.
5 gallons of gas too. So
Yeah.
Write it down. If anyone wants to get me a great Christmas present and you're really loaded, a Thunder Roadster, right under the tree.
Yeah. Jeff
Listen.
has a lot of good place to put those. Yeah.
I was going to get you one, but then you said you wanted nachos, and I had to choose one. So I
True.
got you nachos when
That's
we were
true.
at Pit Race.
You've gotten me
Oof.
nachos more than once. So
Yes.
That's true. Some other things I noticed is getting a physical appears to be required for any comp license.
Yep,
So
SCCA too.
you're going to have to handle that. Some other things I saw about the provisional licenses. So you don't just hop into a full out comp license and go for it. You get a provisional license if you're new. And every time you complete a race without incident, you get a punch through your license. You get your card punched by the race director. So you get your license card filled out and collected back at the end of the event. Once you've got 4 clean races punched, your provisional license is complete. And then you get to have a issuance of NASHA competition license. So
And you,
That's cool.
you have
And a
an
free
R.
hoagie, I hear.
yeah, no,
only
that's
on the,
depends on
only
where
on
you
the
are.
East Coast.
Yeah, they call-
West Coast fish taco.
Oh, okay.
Just one fish taco, but yeah.
Well, if you get
Bad.
your card punched with 4 fish taco platters,
I would say maybe it was an
fifth
ice
one's
cream.
free.
All right. So now I poured through the rules to try to see what to do. And their classing in general is quite open in most classes. A lot of them are just horsepower to weight categories and, points for various mods that you make. So that's nice to be able to fit your Weird Lemons car potentially in. But some other stuff may be an issue. So fuel cells, if you have one, they have to be boxed in. Even if it's anywhere in the car, it has to be boxed in. Even if it's a new FIA, still boxed in. It also has to be
inside the
current
passenger compartment or
anywhere. Well, I mean, if it's in the trunk, it's boxed in. So
yeah, okay.
it has to be separated by a bulkhead from the driver.
Got it.
And it
yes.
also has to be current, like the bladder newer than 5 years. So even though we can get away with those things not being current, if they're enclosed or an FIA style, they have to be, and you have to have proof. Also, logbooks are needed, which means going to a tech inspector and getting a proper logbook to get started. This is a tough one for some of us. Cages are limited to 6 attachment points in most classes, from what I could see. Now, normally that's fine. You get your 2 main hoop, you get your 2 forward hoop, and your 2 backstays. But like in some of our cars, anywhere the cage is near enough to the chassis, weld it up. Stiffens up that crappy old chassis a bit, and makes, I think makes for a safer car, but it does result in a competition improvement because you get a stiffer chassis. So like our Mazda is probably welded at 12 points, probably. Some of those are quite small, but it's welded in a lot of places. Yeah.
I don't think we have any cars that are 6 point.
Yeah. I mean, it's just the basic cage, and that's a tough one. All right. You will need a seat back brace unless your seat is less than 5 or 10 years old. Depends on which FIA spec it is. So like our seats would be fine. They're the newer FIA spec and they're all newer seats, so we'd be okay. But a lot of people have older seats. They would need a seat back brace. You do need a window net. Stupid window nets. Yeah. They did not comment on a center net there. SCCA has thoughts on center nets, but we can talk about those later. I think I wrote that right. Anyway, yeah, the other one, right net is needed. Oh, sorry, here, right is halo. You're absolutely right, Bill. Halo seat or a right-sided net is needed with NASA. So you can get away with a non-halo seat and a net that's right on your side there, or a halo seat counts, just trying to do right side head protection. They have a 50-50 rule for condition. That means the car at 50 feet and 50 miles an hour has to look generally undamaged. That's tougher for some than others around our people we know. I did look through some of the driving rules, and because they have specific rules for passing and things, like when you're passing, you have to get your front wheel even with the driver of the car you're trying to pass in order to be considered having a right to be there. Some Lemons teams would be nice if they considered this, but if you do get to that point, the car you're trying to pass has to leave you adequate room. And adequate room, they define as 3/4 of a car width on the inside. They assume if you're going to go for that, you're going to be a little in the grass to make that pass, and that's okay. But they've got to leave you just enough room to not crash, basically. Mental.
And they do have that. What we're seeing philosophically out here on the West Coast with the vintage auto racing, with NASA, and even some of the other organizations out there, is what Ross Bentley has been proposing for some time, and also what Lemons has done since its inception, which is contact ends up being the responsibility of both. So there's none of this, well, I stuck my nose in there and they closed the door on me. You're seeing philosophically is you needed to have the awareness to recognize that they weren't going to see you. And it's, you start getting into this,
an all fault contact rule. Everyone's at fault who was involved in the contact.
Yeah. And it just comes down to a percentage thing. And they haven't had anyone take them to the exact line of that right now. But what you are seeing is a little bit more polite racing, is folks making sure they're there before they stick their nose in, kind of a deal.
Which is good. People should do that. No one wants to go home with a crashed car at all.
Yeah.
That's
even a little bent. Right.
Green to flag, right? That's what they call it in the SCCA.
Yep.
Incident free. Bill, you got some stuff to add?
Yeah.
Chris had one more thing.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I already talked about that. It's the classing. I'm sorry. Is really open. Anyway.
And I have heard them say repeatedly that if just show up with a car, they'll find a place for you to race it. And most major NASA events, they will have a dyno on track and scales, if for no other reason than to flag you when you come off the track. If you've, our pit mates, Palmar Racing, they usually win by such a large margin that they are always protested, and they routinely they'll get their car dynoed 3 times a weekend because
That
someone
they've-
filed a
What?
protest.
Everybody pretty much has to go over the scales if you're on the podium
Yes.
to
Mhm.
verify.
And-
Which is why they have
and-
the weight on the side of the car so
Yeah.
they can easily see if you're right there or not.
So if you're trying to get that logbook that Chris talked about, you could bring your car to one of these NASA events, and there's a chance you may not be able to get it on track, but you can certainly start the process of getting yourself classed and all of that.
Yeah, it seems like they will find a spot for just about anything. You might not be competitive at all, but it's somewhere to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the two things that, just in case you're driving a convertible, especially Miata, they want to have the arm restraints. If they don't care if you have the nets, they want the arm restraints. And one thing that we can't seem to do, no matter how many times we go to the track, is have working video. But it is in the rules that you need to
Very
have.
simple, Bill.
Yeah,
Push the
you would
button
think.
once.
You would think. Yeah. We have
Sometimes you can do it
lots.
with your one arm.
We have so much video of our car sitting in the paddock, and then as the person goes to drive out the track, turn that video off. So it seems like it's simple, but somehow we make it not.
At the last race, I was getting hassled by the hassler that's in the podcast about how slow I was preparing. And then I went and I sat in the false grid, or the grid, not the false grid, for like 10 minutes going, is the GoPro on? Like staring in the mirror.
Yep.
And I decided it's not. And I reached back and I turned it on, and we got the entire race.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Bill,
Yep.
turn on your video.
That's that is totally after we fought you. You were like, they're not even gridding yet.
They're
Where are
not
all
grid-
the freaking cars?
And
They're
I sat on
the
the grid for 20 minutes, and we were winning nothing. That's okay.
I didn't know when they were going to release us, but I didn't want us to be going out last.
We were fine. I was okay. I was
It
just
doesn't matter.
Anyway.
You helped build, but you did not build the car. Do what the builder tells you to do. If he wants you to sit on grid for 40 minutes, you go sit on grid for 40 minutes. All right. That's
And
rule
feel
of
bad
being
about yourself.
That's rule of being a seat mooch, man.
Hassler.
Do what the builder tells you to do.
Yep.
Oh boy, Bill, you mentioned comp school, or you wrote it in the thing. What is
Yeah.
NASA comp school?
So comp school is where you get your racing license after HPD4 to do wheel to wheel. So it's kind of like the graduation class. It's a 1-day event, usually on a Friday, and you go there, and that's when you get your card to be checked off, and you get your rookie license, and you get the card with the ability to check mark. And usually your first race will count because you'll be entered in the first 30 or 45 minutes of the trek race of the weekend. So
Oh,
least
so for a track.
Yeah.
Got it. And
So-
then it's when you go to comp school, does that get you the provisional?
yes.
And then
So
you have to start collecting your punches.
yeah, and until you get out of the 4 punches, you have an R on your car so that everybody knows you're relatively a rookie.
Yeah, isn't there an orange license plate too?
Yeah, they have an orange license plate, and then you have the R.
Did,
Mark of
didn't have to-
shame.
Sure.
did not have to do either of those, but okay.
No, the Great Lakes. I mean, that's the one we're most
That
familiar
was the
with.
general rules that I was looking at for all of them. I mean, if a particular place didn't follow it, then so be it. But that's what the GCR says.
Got it. Not the GCR. GCR is SCCA.
Well, it's comp, whatever the hell their equivalent is, some
Comp.
other 3-letter acronym that ends in R and has competition. Yeah.
And,
Yep.
and I'm jumping in here before we kick over, because Jeff was born and raised in the SCCA. And if you remember the entire shtick from the Blazing Saddles weekend, he was carrying around that giant book was the actual SCCA general competition rules.
I don't want people to steal my member number.
Some
Okay.
background about this is NASA was built as an alternative to the SCCA because the SCCA had gotten so wrapped up navel gazing in their own existence. Now, I think they are an infinitely better club now, especially with Haywood Wagner and some of the other people they brought on the board. But at their core, SCCA is a rule organization. So that's why NASA is always, well, just show up with it. We're going to make sure you're safe, and then we'll find a place for you to run. And you don't often see that. And then because both of these organizations got so wrapped up in all this kind of thing, it literally gave birth to Lemons, which gave birth to everything else.
Mhm.
And now they are all having to adapt to fight for this pool of drivers.
I was
That's
looking
the
to see
Secret
if-
Car Club of America or
Yeah.
the Senior Citizens Club
Yeah.
of America.
So
Yes.
let me talk about some of the theory behind the SCCA, and then we'll move on to some of the things, because Yeah, the rule book is huge. It's heavy. It's giant. The SCCA began with the understanding that they were going to continue classing cars and they were going to continue making rules, not only to make it safe, but also to make sure all the cars were competitive. So there are so many different classes of cars. They do not have the theory that whatever you want to bring, you can bring. They very much are trying to squish your car into a box to fit a category. And then, there's some like, screw it, just put them all in that category. But the reason that their classing is so bizarre is they are still trying to class like 1966 MGs with like current cars. So it gets kind of crazy. Go ahead, Chris.
In reading through all the rules, I started trying to find classes our cars would potentially fit in. I found they have opened up some NASA-like classes
Yes,
that are horsepower to weight based, like STU. So it's super touring under, so under displacement under 3.2. So something like that actually was a decent fit for our Mazda, for example.
Yeah, an ST is street touring, so there's
limited. That's autocross, but this one's called seriously. I read it last night. Super touring on
super touring.
Under.
Yeah,
yes,
that's what I meant. Super touring.
Yep.
I said street. I don't know why. Super touring.
Because that's what the autocross class was. It was street touring.
Yeah, I never autocrossed with them.
Yep.
So anyway, yeah. So they have all of this basically letter soup that pushes all of the cars and like your Gallardo and all. They'll find there's all these different places, and the classing is really where they tried. They just went absolutely insane. 90% of the book is just all the classing and all the rules, and there's rules for every single chassis. And a Formula V, which they haven't made since like 1980 something, they're still being campaigned and they're still being classed and they're still updating the rules, and there's still a committee that still looks at that chassis and makes new rules every year, and just the book gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, I was going to say that the differentiation that I hear mostly is SCCA tends to deal more with open wheel cars, and NASA tends to avoid open wheel cars. So it seems to be one of the differentiations.
There's a lot of open wheel classes and kart classes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Formula Ford, Formula Mazda, Formula Star, all those whatever the snowmobile ones are, F500,
FF500,
etc. Yeah.
There's a lot of classes, and I'm going to say that you can easily go class blind in the SCCA. And then like the rules for getting a license are a little bit different. They don't have a real structured like ladder system. You need to go to comp school. You're still going to need to get a physical. You're still going to need to have a clean weekend at a comp school. Comp school is a 3-day affair. I think most of the places, some different regions do different things, but I don't even know if they're consistent, because I wasn't able to really find anything specific on what is and isn't a comp school. So they give
just whatever the regions put on.
That's what I was going to say. They give a lot of power to the regions to determine who does get a license and who doesn't get a license, including like if you had a license previously and you came back, or someone reads your resume, they can sign you into it's basically driver school or a private racing school is the way in if you don't have any kind of deep resume of racing. But yeah, they call it the divisional licensing administrator. So that is the person, and each division is going to have their own, and they're going to run their own schools. But that's kind of the general gist of how you're going to get a license in the SCCA. Is you're going to go to your region and you're going to find out what their requirements are, and you're going to get a regional license. After competing a bit, you're probably going to be able to get a full license.
I looked up our local regions to see what was going on. And the DC region, they have their comp license school. It's March 17th and 19th. Registration opens January 5th at Summit Point. You show up Friday. You have to be there Friday at 6. There's some classroom Friday evening. There's getting the car tech Friday evening. Then all day Saturday and Sunday are all track. And it ends with 2 races. but it is the bargain price of $249.
That's
and
really
inclu-
cheap.
and
Wow.
includes instruction. I'm like, well,
Maybe
damn, I
we
might
should-
just want to go to that.
Comp
Right.
license for everybody.
Right.
I
Because
should
that is
say that
So
one
cheap.
of
And you get instruction and all this. Like, that's wonderful.
Yeah. One of the reasons we bought the RX-7 is because it had that logbook. Because getting a comp license, especially an SCCA comp license, opens up a lot of doors.
The lo-
25s. Oh, go ahead, Tracy.
Well, may not fit here, but what you just said just made me think of something. The logbook just goes with the chassis.
Oh, yeah, I should mention that. Yeah, so the logbook, Chris mentioned it before too, that you get a logbook. So the logbook follows the car.
Just chassis, does not matter anything else.
I mean, it's an inspection of everything in the entire history of that car's racing. And it is a giant book, and it's kind of strange. It's kind of like the first time it's inspected, everything gets inspected, and then after that they kind of inspect the book and look for changes.
Okay.
And there's annual tech inspection where they'll give a harder look, but the log book lets the car in the race.
Okay. Just because the RX, when we bought it with logbook, it
Mhm.
looks nothing like it did before.
Yeah, and you can see the running changes as you go through. Like it says, this is where it was originally, and there's the original picture and the original cage, and they.
Yeah. And now it has cylinders, maybe at some
Right.
point.
Yeah. Well, and the logbook doesn't do the classing, the annual tech, because classing always changes.
Sure.
They can change what class that car will fit in or what its weight is every year at the meetings. My father and brother have both attended the SCCA national meetings in Las Vegas, Mental, by the way. And
At the South Point Casino.
yeah, the big argument this year was about Teslas and where to put them in the road racing and autocross classing, because they kind of just threw them in going, ain't nobody gonna run these, and they kind of started dominating, and especially in the autocross world, they're just so fast. So, but anyway, Bill, you had something about the SCCA license?
Well, the as far as I know, NASA comp school and racing license is not recognized if you go race in Europe with the FIA. So the only one that I'm aware of that is recognized would be an SCCA license. So NASA and SCCA will recognize each other, but to get the FIA, you have to have an SCCA one, as far as I know.
And we should definitely mention that when I talk about the divisional licensing administrator basically passing you forward after a quick checkout, that means you're probably showing up with a private comp school or a NASA license, and they're going to give you a quick check and watch you on a single day or a single race, and then get you that license, that regional license.
I don't know, but I bet a lot of us could show up and drive with them and probably get it just fine based on our experience.
Sure.
That we can demonstrate, even though like I don't have any kind of comp license. I've done Skip Barber, I've done all this stuff, but I've never actually had a comp license.
Yeah. And that's where that divisional licensing administrator will want to talk to you and look at your driving resume, and then, I don't know, put you out for a session or two, or I don't know what exactly they would do, because it's different again.
I'll just go do the stupid comp school for $249 and
Yes,
get all that
hell
track
yeah.
time.
I'll go.
Hell yeah.
Let's go.
Right? Seriously. Damn.
When was
It's
that?
cheaper than
March?
HPDE.
March. It's way cheaper and you get instruction the whole time. This is great. All right. So I've figured I've gone through the rule book again. Great. Here's some stuff that might be an issue. It's actually similar, but not quite the same as the NASA stuff. So we talk about the logbook that's needed, and that's issued only by a nationally licensed tech inspector. So you've got to do that ahead of time. Jeff.
And I'll just mention that all the regions that I've been involved with, which has been Northeast, South Jersey, and a few others, they all have, like, in the early spring, like annual tech weekends where everybody brings their car and gets their tech. So you don't have to like hope you get teched correctly at the race. They really want you teched before the race.
Yeah. That way you can fix stuff before the race. All right. So logbook needed. The fuel cell rules vary based on class, but it seems as though in any of the classes we may be eligible for, you likely are going to need a bulkhead, separating the tank from the driver no matter what. And it also needs to be within 12 inches of the stock tank's location. from what I could see. And nothing said it has to be current. Nothing said within 5 years. Nothing said FIA, but in a bulkhead within 12 inches metal.
And that goes back to what we told you way back when it comes down to fuel cells. Just don't do it. Don't.
Try not to. It's a pain. A rain light is needed. It didn't specify only in rain weekends. It says you need a rain light. Okay. You have to disable your steering wheel locks. Good idea. I don't think we've done that in the Mazda yet. I know we did in the Civic. Did we on the Mazda? No, I did. I had it all apart. Anyway, but so that's something a lot of people don't do. A window net is required again, unfortunately. Cages, you're limited to 8 mounting points for most classes. And a weird thing I saw is that forward bracing on the cage may actually be required. Again, it depends a little bit on the class, but they might require like footwell intrusion bars or up to the firewall or something, forward stays as opposed to back stays. Bill,
Would that count as your 8, or is that
those are the ones that you need to get the 8? Yes.
okay? Because that there was one rule book that I was reading said the footwell protection did not count as a point. So, but who knows?
Yeah, I think perhaps those can do double duty.
Maybe.
So, but that's definitely a point of contention.
RX-7 has those.
Yeah.
Mhm.
How much of an issue is this really going to be? Like, if you're not going to be competitive, no one's going to protest you. If it's not like an overwhelming spot, I don't know. I don't know how stickler some of these tech inspectors are going to be about stuff like that, of just tack welding it where it happens to kiss the car anyway. Don't know. Be interesting to find out. From classing, STU Super Touring Under seems the closest to Lemon's cars. It's based on displacement and weight, with points in and out for other things. But the engine rules are fairly open. They really think they're trying to help prevent you from going overboard by requiring that you have to have the stock intake manifold and throttle body for whatever engine you're using. Like, they're fine with engine swaps. And they even specifically mentioned the Mazda MZR. When I was looking at it, they say all versions of the MZR, they count them as the same. Like, do whatever you want. If it's an MZR, you can put any of the MZRs in any of the spots that you want that they go, and that's fair. That's fine. But like, they'll list, all right, if it's a Honda Prelude, like, it has to have a certain throttle restrictor, or in STL, which is the 2-liter version of Super Touring, like Integra GSRs, have to have a certain throttle limiter, for example. So it has a lot of very class specific stuff. And like Jeff said, they're trying to keep a lot of people competitive, but it does seem like STU is a place where most of the, 3 series
stockish sort
Civics,
of
things that are 4 and 6 cylinder, most of them would end up nicely in STU with motor swaps. Brake changes are reasonable. Brake changes are free. Like, if you're just using the bigger brakes from a different model that bolts up, no problem. That's all fine. So this seems like the best category for the kind of mods that the cars we would be interested in have.
Yeah. I should mention that everything Chris is talking about are the national classes. And just a real quick breakdown, national classes are competitive and can get you to the runoffs and get you national championships. And these are the ones.
I was looking at regional classes too, but
okay.
This is the closest we were getting.
But STU is a national class, right?
Yeah, it is. But still, like, even the regional classes, none of the stuff we would be looking at would be close.
I'm going to talk about some regional classes that people might be interested in.
Fine.
But anyway, so I just want to talk about the difference between a regional class and a national class, because they are different. And I'm going to talk about some weird stuff, because if you happen to be in the Northeast and you happen to be interested in some endurance racing, there is some interesting endurance racing happening in the East Coast region. I'm sorry, I did not look across the nation. So listener from California who made the suggestion, you're going to have to look at your own regions. But this goes back to the power of the region. The region, as long as you're not sending someone to a national competition, they have a lot of flexibility to do whatever they really want to during their race, as long as they keep it safe and follow the safety rules and stuff. So there are 2 regional classes that are going to allow typical Lemons and Champ cars. And they have, in the Northeast Division, they've added a class called Le Chump. 3 levels, like level 1, level 2, level 3, Le Chump. And it's based on the, quote, current Champ car and Lemons prep following the GCR safety rules. So basically, whatever you show up with, if it's ugly, you can go into that class. If you don't fit that 50-50 thing, if you're just like, you got a chicken on the roof, that's
Cookie?
it. Because cookie on the roof.
But they probably still won't like the chicken on the roof.
They probably still won't like the chicken on the roof.
Or
but
an arm with a fist.
Yeah,
I think that would go over poorly.
pretty much they have said in all
Giraffe
those,
head, they're good. They're done.
yeah,
No, they made us take it off.
all those other classes, they do not want the adornments on your car. This one basically said as long as it is safe, that you are allowed to decorate your car and run decorated cars. New England has an interesting one called ITEZ, which is a regional class for cars built for Champ or Lemons, or for cars that were built for ITE and are ITE legal, but no longer able to keep up with their class. So it's a fun class without a promise or intent of performance equability is what they said. I'll put the links in the show notes for this. These are just interesting kind of fun classes that they're trying to basically bring people over who have Lemons and Champ cars. Interestingly enough, the Jersey Road Racing Series, DC, and across New England are running these. While I was doing this, I was looking at the DC SCCA. They have a GT Pinto spec series. Yes, Ford Pintos. The SCCA rules just for the GT Pinto regional series is 21 pages long. It's really amusing.
Do not back up into things. Do not let somebody hit you in the back. Do not.
Yes.
Lily St. James got her start in the Pinto class. And she was the one of the first females to race Indy 500. And she basically said, because it was the only car I could buy that I could afford to go racing.
I really think that the SCCA's like national mantra is just to run the world out of like Mustang 2 front ends, Kent motors, and everything else that works with a Pinto. Formula Fords don't even use them anymore, right? They have all moved to Z-Techs.
No,
not Z-Techs,
How to fit motors, how to fit 1.5s.
Or it's what's the Coventry, the English.
That's Coventry Climax. No, the Kent. They were
Kent,
using all the Kent motors.
That's right.
Like
You got
a
Kent
Pegasus,
motors. Yeah.
and they have all of the old Kent parts still available, or like new blocks.
Or they're they're snatching them all out of Rangers, snatching all the. Yeah.
That was even older than that. They
The
never
Kents
put
were in the Pintos.
Yeah, they never put the Kents in Rangers. Anyway,
Anyway,
I'm reading the Litchump classes and the ITEZ, and here's the stick is going to be the same as everything else. Is you have to pass current GCR, including roll cages, seats, driver restraints, all those things. So the same restrictions that are going to be tough, like how many attachment points you have, like your
actually, it said minimum 6, no maximum in one of them.
All right. Yeah, this one says like they must meet the current GCR, not limited to roll cages. No waivers are permitted on these required safety items. So
yeah, you're still going to need the window net. You're still going to need center nets, depending on what your car is. You're still going to need arm restraints if you're convertible, all those things. But they don't limit, like I said, they only 6.
Yeah, there are some things like tire limits, though, on some of these. Like, for example, one of the max tire width is 225 if you're 2.3 liters or less. Anything with VTEC has to be in a middle class because they assume it's just fast enough. They've apparently never driven any of the single cam VTEC cars. No, they do say double cam VTEC. Okay,
there you go,
good.
double cam VTEC. Yeah, and again, the classing gets weird, and they don't. These are fun classes, so they're not going to make sure that it's equitable. So you might not be, you might not win.
So what we're used to, basically.
Yeah. Bill, go ahead. You got your...
Well, you don't really. I don't think you're going to these to maximize your BOP for the class. I mean, this is kind of a go out there and have fun and race. This is, if there's enough people in your class, you should be happy and just get out there and have fun. This is not your step path to nationals. So
what?
I know.
Well, no,
like
because these are
summary.
regional classes.
Right.
So you can win your region, but you cannot go to nationals with these classes. The STU that Chris was talking about earlier, that's a national class.
Right.
But then you got to take all the chickens off.
I know. And a cookie.
Yeah.
And it's got to look good from 50 feet.
The cookie
My
looks
Mazda
good
still qualifies.
anywhere.
does.
All right, Bill. I think you got someone going to talk about
Yeah.
racing
So
schools?
one thing that we talked about two different philosophies. NASA's got a philosophy where you've got a ladder system and you work your way up from I have no idea what a track looks like to I should be able to get around a track fairly quickly in their ladder, and then you get to your comp school. SCCA seems to have sort of in between, but there's also these schools that are available across the country where you can go and get a racing license in a weekend or 3 or 4 or 5 or however many days, depends on where you're at and which school is involved. I have fairly strong opinions on these, but I just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of what they were, and maybe we could talk about the pluses and minuses of that type of approach. It's the fastest way to get a license.
We're talking about the pluses and minuses of your opinions. Your strong.
Well, no, my opinion is,
Well, we
is
were waiting for
solidly,
you, Phil,
solidly plus.
Go ahead, do it.
Okay, so especially if you're new, like this would not apply to Chris or Mental or Jeff or Chrissy, but if you're new, I don't think that going to a racing school is the way to go, because it took me a significant amount of time to acclimate to all the different inputs and all the different responsibilities and all the different visuals and all the different cars. And I don't think you're going to get that in a weekend. And, Jeff may or may not agree. I'm not sure.
I was going to say that it was very clear when I was involved in the SCCA that many people did not pass comp school. Just because you showed up and attempted to pass comp school, you did not always get signed off on. And there was definitely some unhappy people on Sunday when they thought that they deserved their license and that regional person would not sign off on it.
I just can't imagine, there's places that say we can get you a license in 3 days or 5 days or however many days. I just can't imagine, to my satisfaction, to my level of expectation of myself, that I could get there that quickly. I just think I would.
Comp school is not going to teach you.
Right.
Comp school is going to make sure that it's kind of like comp test.
Well, you're
comp school.
Jeff, you're
Well,
talking about
safety.
SCCA comp school.
SCCA, absolutely. Yep.
Bill is talking about, and you
Skippy.
can find these ads anywhere. Pay your money, come here, spend 3 days, and you are ready for a license. And I actually did do this back in 2005. I got a chance to go to a race school, and they didn't give you a competition license, but they said that you met all the requirements. And I did check with the local SCCA, and that would have gotten me a provisional. And then it would have been the same thing that you guys were all talking about, where they would have observed me for 2 races. Or had I paid another $2,000, they would have provided me a prepared car that weekend for an actual race, which would have gotten my 2 rookie races out of the way and got me a comp license. So there are schools that you're not going to be any good, but you're going to be licensed, that Bill's talking about. And I tend to agree with you, Chrissy, and Bill on that one. And because we've come at this differently,
I mean, I did Skip Barber 3-day comp school when I was 19, and I was an okay driver. I did some car control skills, but my situational awareness that I have now is like a
Light
different,
years. Yeah.
it's right, orders of magnitude different than what I was then, no doubt.
Yeah.
But if we're talking to folks that have been doing some lemons racing, and this episode came from Team Shenanigans, by the way, on the West Coast. I probably should have said that at the start. So if you've done a dozen lemons races, you probably have,
or a dozen years of lemons races.
You've probably got, like Mia Losi right now. I would give that guy a competition license and he would be fine. And he'd probably beat half of everyone. But if you've been doing this and you're looking to make that jump, maybe one of those schools on there. If you've got a young person or someone that's interested in seeing what you're doing, and they're like, oh, I'm just going to go to this school for a weekend and I'm going to be as good as you. Nope.
Yeah. And I will say that you are absolutely right. When I was saying about you don't pass license school, I'm talking about the $250 DC weekend that does not guarantee you a license if you do not pass.
Right. And it depends on where you're at in your career. Like Chrissy right now, she goes to Skippy 4-day school, gets her license. I'm totally cool with that. I know she can do it. It's just a matter of getting checked out. But looking back at where our team was when we first talked to you guys so long ago, maybe I could have passed, but I shouldn't have had a comp school license. I should not have had a racing license. We didn't know enough to know what we shouldn't know or what we didn't know. And I think that's an important part of why I am a proponent for the ladder system, in that some people can get through it very quickly in a year or two. Great. Awesome. But it gives you the time in between to digest what you're learning and think about it, and time to relax. Because I don't know if you guys notice it, but usually on a 2-day weekend, I drive much better on Sunday after I get to think about it Saturday night while I'm asleep. And that's an important part of the learning process. I don't know. Just me. So what do you
But I think the issue becomes, is there a natural way to, if you are skilled, to get the license faster? And I think in the Great Lakes region, they'd say, I don't care who you are, do the ladder.
Well, they'll let you place into the ladder.
Sure.
Like,
we'll start you at 3, but
Yeah. And Great Lakes is unique in the way that they have their system set up, and their systems is very good. And I'm a strong proponent of it. We go to other systems, we go to other schools, and it's lap time, it's track time, but I don't learn a thing.
You learn nothing. Yeah. There's no instruction.
Yeah.
And that's really what it is it the SCCA comp school is checking off your skills that hopefully you already got somewhere else, while the NASA ladder is actually teaching you to get there.
Yeah.
My opinion, Jeff's opinion.
So I don't know if we can all agree or disagree on what the proper way, what we did versus what we should have done, because I think we've, you guys have more years of experience than I do, but I just think that there's a better way to do it than go for a week and you're a race car driver.
Well, and it's interesting. Years ago, you recommended a book, and it was written to people, race car dreams for middle-aged, whatever. I read the book, and that's exactly what that person did. They bought a vintage car, went to a race school, and went racing, and then said, I don't think Lemons is a very good breeding ground because they don't take it seriously. And I took offense to that. Now, they don't take the racing seriously, but they absolutely take the driving seriously, and they take the safety seriously. Yeah. And I'm with you. I could have had a racing license 20 years ago, almost. And same thing with Chris. No, I'm not a proponent of that. Absolutely follow a tier system or follow a ladder, or, don't jump into the deep end, walk into the shallow end, and then start taking a few laps around the pool. And I think you're going to be happier, you're going to be more fulfilled, and you're going to be safer.
About you, Chrissy, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking a lot. I'm thinking of I'm going to call them kids. There are kids that advertise themselves on the AER and Shump forums that say, I'm 19 and I have a comp license, and I did these schools.
I went to Bertle Roos.
I'm amazing, and I can be in your car and I will win. And I think
I will break your car.
I'm going to go real fast. I may not brake in time because I'm going to late brake. I'm going to abuse it. And I think we are all just so much smarter about racing in every way from the hours and hours that we've done in multiple different cars, multiple different tracks, in different seasons. And I don't know. I just think there's a lot to it. That makes me feel like a good race car driver. So I don't know. I think there's, wisdom comes with time, and I can see how this is that kind of those schools, that price tag can be appealing, just to kind of like almost like the easy button. Like, I can be a race car driver with a check and a weekend.
And we should say that we are proponents of education always. That's why we, even though have 12 years hours and hours and hours in crazy different cars and crazy traffic, we continue to find ways for ourselves to get coached.
And I know I'm better every time after an HPDE, every time that we have time on track. We still do testing days just so we can get track time for the most part. So I don't know. I think, yeah, I've been thinking a lot about it.
There's a difference between being able to operate a race car safely on track and being a good race driver, and separately being a fast race driver. Those are all
SCCA
separate
comp
things.
license has nothing to do with being.
And I'll throw
fast.
one more in here. Being a good team member. You could learn to drive a car fast, but if you can't talk to whoever's wrenching on it about what it's doing and under what conditions, you may not need to be able to set up a suspension, but you certainly need to be able to say this could be better or this is worse than previous, and talk to whoever's turning wrenches on the car if you want to get the most out of it. And that there is no school to learn how to diagnose an ill handling race car.
I still don't know how to do it.
That's just butt time.
It's bad. The wheel is doing this. That sounds.
I say
weird.
it's fine.
Yeah.
Or says the wheel's falling off.
I grabbed the wheel. I'm like,
I was okay.
hell?
I just don't tell
the ball joint is not actually seated in the control arm anymore.
fine.
You didn't
It's
notice
fine.
that?
the car is
fine.
loud. I just didn't tell a mechanic or the main guy, because he's gonna be like, "Why didn't you tell me?" And I'm like, "Because you had just said keep driving." So I just did.
Some of my favorite stories are listening to Jeff, especially, but all of you have done it. Is like when you start making the noise the car is making over the radio.
Oh, always.
I hear
Is it a dumpa 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 dumpa, or is it a? It's
Oh,
fantastic.
boy.
It's helpful.
Can I say something broadly here? We still have like 20 minutes of notes here. I feel like we have really maybe just done part one here, and we are not the Garage Heroes podcast. We are not going to do a multi-hour show. Should we try and wrap it up and do a part two, or do we just want to like quickly do one sentence on the next three topics? Go ahead, Mental.
Well, we'll just wrap it up with the short answer to the listener question. Yes, absolutely. You can make the jump from endurance crap can racing to legitimate racing. It depends on your level of experience, the car that you have, the level of preparation, and really where you're located, where you're willing to travel to. And you can short circuit the process very quickly, depending on how good you perform and the willingness of the regional director to let you, or you can invest in the time in the school, such as the competition school that Chris talked about. And if you're listening to this podcast and you've already got the safety gear, which means you've been into a race car, you're probably better equipped than most. So if you're looking to make the jump, absolutely go for it.
The only thing I would add is be modest and conservative. If you have a doubt, don't try. Make sure you feel you're over ready, not barely ready.
All right, here's my suggestion for part two. We got to talk about all the other series out there, because we really only talked about SCCA and NASA comp licenses, and there are lots of other more than lemon serious, but still not SCCA or NASA.
Well, we do talk about all those. We've had the WRL people on here. We love Kathy, Lucky Dog.
Yeah, well, you've never really talked much about the SVRA. We could talk about them too. Anyway, I'm saying that's in part two. We could talk about the new SCCA Endurance series and all this other stuff. Let's move on to the end of the show.
If only we had a podcast that came out like weekly that could go over this type of stuff. That would be fantastic. I know. There's no off season in this podcast.
No. We have coming up the Around the Horn. For those of you who are new to the show, this is a question that is posed by one of us, and then we all have to go around and give an answer. And today we're going to leave that to the guest host, Bill Fisher, who has a question that he wants our answers to.
So there was a listener proposed question that was answered in last week's episode that sounded suspiciously like something I was talking to Chris about. And there was one aspect of the One Lap of America that I thought I should bring up. And it's, if you were to go on the one lap, because 2 of you have already done it and 2 of you want to do it and are very familiar in it, we're going to be in the Sunday Cup level. So we're going to be in a Honda Fit or a Mini if I ever get that done. And I was thinking, because I've driven on track in normal street cars and I've driven on track in full prepped race cars, full in quotes. What do you think we should do? Because right now the cars are fully street cars. And we were thinking,
these are your trio of Honda Fits.
yes.
Please explain what Sunday Cup is.
Okay, so Sunday Cup is kind of like
It's a grid
slower
life class, right?
It's a grid life class, and you race very low horsepower cars, typically Honda Fits, Mini Coopers, various. They're called B class cars in the
Mazda
automotive.
2, Ford
Mazda
Fiesta,
2, Ford Fiesta, low power,
Sonic,
you know,
500.
or poor suspension. You know, there's very little things you could do. There's only 3 things you could change on the car, and it's kind of just you go out there and have a good time. So, but should we change the seat to a race seat? Should we change the seat to use racing harnesses, which would necessitate a cage or a half cage, or should we just leave it alone?
And this is prepping for the one lap.
For the one lap, yes.
But a car that eventually will, or in the same year,
yes,
run the Sunday Cup.
Yes, which would, if we're going to do B-spec cars, we would need to have a full cage. And, you know, there's pluses and minuses to going halfway. But it was just a question. I'm like, you know, because I can argue all ways. I don't like personally the idea of driving into transits with a full cage. But if you're in a Fit, it's kind of far away. But I don't know. So what do you guys think? Mental,
you can open it up.
I know I'm always the first person to race. So more so, I think Chrissy's driven her race car to work a few times. And outside of that, I've probably done the dumbest things with street cars. Bill, we are people of a certain age. And of that age, we like to be comfortable. And having daily driven just absolutely stupid cars that you should not be daily driving, I'm going to say, given the level of performance you're investing in and the transit points, no. You're going to want that seat to be able to recline. You're going to want the passenger's going to want to be able to get some power naps in. You're going to need to be able to adjust things for snacks and clothes and chairs and just small amounts of tools. And just it was mentioned that the Kirkies weren't purchased on that Porsche one lap because they were cheap and light. It was because it was the only thing that person could fit. And Eric even talked about on the one lap how one of the more refreshing things he got to do was sit in a Mercedes and just be comfortable while it wasn't going anywhere. I'm going to say invest in some very comfortable, supportive race style seats. And Chris was talking about this before the show. And if you want the 4-point harness, go with the Schroth clip-in 4-point harness, which will still give you the same level of safety. So no cage, no roll bar. Leave the stock, leave the air conditioner, leave the seats, and just focus on being comfortable.
Chris, talk about your harnesses before I go.
So Schroth makes a 4-point DOT legal harness that I put one of these in the Mercedes, and I've had it in an IE30 before that. A different, not the same one because it's a lot of years in between, but it bolts into your stock harness mounting locations. Sometimes for some cars, they actually even have ones that actually plug into your stock seatbelt mounting points. It's a great way to add a shoulder harness, a double shoulder harness to the car that's DOT legal. And it's DOT legal because the reason they have 3-point belts is if the car rolls over, the roof crushes in, it doesn't immediately compress your spine. You've got kind of an out. Like if you're in the driver's seat, it's over your left shoulder. You can kind of roll to the right. Or your body is smushed to the right, and it doesn't just compress your spine down. Where if you put a harness bar in your stock car with stock seats and you go over, or especially if you have a harness bar and race seats in a stock roof, you go over, you have no compression protection. That roof comes down. There is nothing stopping your head from going down through your butt. So that's bad.
So,
if
so
you're
how does this 4-point harness let you move to the middle? I'm sorry, I missed it.
it one of the shoulder straps has essentially stitching in the webbing that will give way with enough pressure so
Oh,
that one side, again, it's the one over the right shoulder, will break free so you can do what you would normally do in a 3-point belt. It also has the other DOT legal things, like it's a push button to get out. It's not a weird latch, and it's red. Yep. But that is a way that you can have enough better protection in the car. It'll hold you better in place, and also be safer without a roll cage. It also lets you have a Hans or Defender or next gen, whatever you want to have, that needs to be held down by 2 straps. This lets you do that.
this is excellent. So for those of you watching on the YouTubes, we have, I think, Mental, click that one. Yeah, I want to show this. So it looks like the waist belts go down where your normal seat belts are.
Yeah.
Your stock seat belts, and it looks like the shoulder belts go over the regular seat back and click to the back seat.
Yeah, wherever you, well, this one's for an E36, so these are just plug in. But if you don't have one of the very common cars that they have it for, like for example, I put the universal one in the Mercedes. So the side, the lap belts, I took the seat out. I went to the stock mounting locations for the seat belts and just pulled the bolt out, put the throw eyelet through it, put the bolt back in. Boom. Can't get any safer in the stock mounting location. For the rear, I didn't want to have the downward angle to the belts. I was trying to avoid that and trying to keep it about as horizontal as possible, because that's what we usually do in the cages. So I took the C pillar apart and was able to tap into where the rear shoulder belt is for the left side rear passenger. So that's, again, a very sturdy location designed to be a seatbelt mounting point, pretty close to level to the driver, able to reach, and that gave a nice solid mount.
It seems like the Bill can help me out here, the other dad on the podcast. The child seat mounts might be great locations in this, because they're on the parcel shelf area of the seat, or down by the same place where the seat belts come out.
Yeah. Or we could use something, I don't know, maybe when Chris and Chrissy come up, we could use something that connects the rear struts mechanically.
It is known as the Schroth Quick Fit, and we will have a link to that in our show notes.
Not all of them are the Quick Fit. The Quick Fit is the one that's designed for the cars where you can plug right in. There is a different one that's not the Quick Fit, that is a more universal.
All right, Bill, here's my opinion. Are you ready for this?
Always.
That has nothing to do. Oh, wait, Mental is sharing something.
Yeah.
I was just sharing more Schroth stuff. So I'll say that we all know that driving to the track is probably more dangerous than driving on the track. And I do not like being in a caged car for a very long time without a helmet on a street. If you are doing transit sections at a high rate of speed, you don't want a cage because you don't want to wear a helmet, and you really, in normal seat belts where you can actually change the radio, which is something you might want to do for those transit zones, you're going to want a more normal seat belt, something with a ratcheting mechanism and stuff. So I am with Chris for a different reason. I think a caged car is not a safe place to be without a helmet, Hans.
That's my concern.
Yeah, a lot of it depends on your relationship between the cage bars and the seat and your head. So how tall are you? How tall is your seat? How tall is your car? Like, for example, the RX-7, no way, you die immediately. Right.
But the Mazda, I can't even touch the ceiling, especially where the race seat in the Mazda, because I've driven that car many miles with in the race format that we have it in. I'm plenty far away.
Chrissy's short enough. Again, the cage is way up high, and the seat is really.
But you would have the same thing with the fit. There is room there. I mean, it depends on what kind of car you're driving.
Okay, so is that your answer, Chrissy?
No, it's not my answer. That was my rebuttal to you're not always that close to the ceiling, because I'm not.
I was more worried about the header bar than anything else. The one up here.
Oh, sure. Well, I was talking about a bar instead of a cage, but yes,
true.
I'm more worried about the side bar is the one I worry about.
Yeah, that's the one that I'm concerned about.
Yeah.
Yep. Go ahead, Chris.
Oh, I actually, amazing. Mark this day in history. Mental and I totally agree. The thing that's going to matter in one lap, the comfort matters so much for, especially for how little time you're actually on track, for the level of performance you have, and for your general sense of self-preservation. I think they could leave the interior completely stock. If anything, like put some blankets over some stuff in the back that are easy to pull out because they're for sound deadening. Keep it quiet. The fatigue of driving a Honda Fit that long is going to be significant. I mean, in the Mercedes, it's one thing. That car, we would arrive at the end of a transit feeling refreshed, and that was lovely. The Fit is not that way. And
it's so close though.
If you drive it, a stripped, caged, fiberglass bucketed car, you're gonna want to die. So it's gonna be It's gonna be an unpleasant experience. And don't have your first time be an unpleasant experience, because you're not going to win anyway. So at least have it be slightly better.
Exactly.
So get the Schroth, keep everything else, be comfortable. People are going to sleep. Yeah. All that. What Mental said.
Yeah, let me say one more quick thing before Chrissy goes, because it's the second half of what I want to say is when you're on the street, you want to be comfortable. When you're in the racetrack, you want to be able to cinch your belts. And what Mental and Chris said is the best path to that. That's why I say no cage, be safe. Go on, Chrissy.
I think I was thinking that, so my answer was not the same as you guys. I think you've now convinced me that I'm glad I went last, because I think that I might be swayed. I've driven a race car, so I think I was not realizing the time frame of when you were going to do each of these things. So was it more that you would, if you needed to cage it to start racing and then take it also, so if it was already going to be caged for Sunday Cup and then going on one lap, if it's already caged, how that's going to be? I think I don't think the amount of racing that you end up doing in one lap it's not necessarily wheel to wheel. They try to make it not wheel to wheel. So I think it's pretty much you're going the same direction. It's nice to cinch your belts. You're in a race suit, so you've got some protections around you anyway, and chances are you're probably not going to roll it and or let's hope not hit anything. So but it is really nice to have somebody sleeping while you're driving, especially if you're going and it's going to be long distances. So yeah, I guess I'm going with everybody else now.
Yeah, my concern was when you're flopping around on the track, that sucks.
That's what I'm saying. You need a belt that's cinching. They used to sell this thing. Does anybody remember the G-Lock?
I have two of them.
I want one of these.
I have two.
It's basically a thing that you put on your seatbelt, your 3-point seatbelt, and it locks them together.
Or just twist it.
Even better than any of those things you guys are talking about. Back your seat up, get your belt tight, reach over your shoulder, and pull it real quick, and it locks. And then move your seat forward, and then your whole belt is tight. The G-Lock only does your lap belt, which I always thought was the worst part about it.
I've never touched one, so I didn't know
only the
that.
lap belt. Twisting it, only the lap belt. So if you just get back up, pull it tight. If you have power seats, it works even better. And you just slide yourself forward, and you're nice and tight. Yeah,
I'm tight. Let's go.
Yeah, totally.
Pretty sure I don't have power seats in the Fit. Just
No,
but you can do it with manual
But
seats.
seriously, I ran into this when I was track daying the Veloster. Is I did not feel good in a movable seatbelt. I should have done Chris's little trick. That'd have been helpful.
Or you could be like Chris and go car to car to car to car to car to car to car.
Totally works.
Yeah.
And Bill, you don't really need to worry about if the car, you prep the one car and you're going to do multiple things with it. You've got extras. So you have them prep for different things.
Exactly.
Like, well, this is the one lap fit. This is the B-spec fit. This is the
my Tuesday fit.
Gambler fit. Or this whatever you want.
Yeah, let's do it.
They just keep popping up. I don't know what happened.
32s on a.
You left them alone in the hangar. Bottle of wine.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say that Chris thinks they're multiplying.
They're going to grow up to be a minivan someday.
Oh, boy. Have we answered your question, Bill?
Yes, sir. You guys are awesome as always.
That's great. Bill, do you want to pimp anything? Do you want to throw out your Insta handles?
Like
or
people
anything?
don't know.
Exactly. Like anyone who listens to this.
I know the
show
Venn diagram of
already,
our listeners and your listeners are basically a circle.
It is. It's awesome. But if you want to hear more of me babbling on and probably saying the wrong thing, come on over to Garage Heroes and Trainings, the 101 podcast to the Everyone Racers 201 podcast.
There you go. Anybody else want to say? Do we know what we're doing next week? No. Silence. Crickets.
Part two.
Figure it out. Always do.
Well, I would like to say
if you've got suggestions, we're obviously responding.
And then I'll say thanks to Bill and thanks to everyone for downloading us. We hope you enjoyed this week's edition of Everyone Racers. We hope you'll join us in the world of driving, racing, and building, because everyone can be a racer, even you. If you enjoyed this podcast, subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, click the subscribe button, right, Mental? Don't smash it. Don't crash it. Just click it.
Caress it.
Caress, smoothly touch that subscribe button. But anyway, if you have any questions or show ideas, drop a comment on our Facebook page, Everyone Racers, or email us at everyone.racers@gmail.com. You can still text Mental 484-243-0455. Send them pictures of your junk. Instagram or Twitter, if it's still a thing, at everyone.racers. YouTube, Facebook, Everyone Racers. Reddit /E1R. Mental, I saw those pictures up on the old from the 25 on the old
And also got a lot of interaction. My wife and I went out after the Christmas party, and across the street from our favorite bar was a lowrider meetup. So I went over there and took a bunch of pictures and posted those on the E1R too.
I got to post some things up there. /E1R on Reddit. Check it out. Thanks again. And until next week, keep the bubbly side up of your fit. I don't know what fits look like. The
Minivan.
Bulbous
Put in a
side?
dryer. Mini dryer.
Anyway,
Minivan
whatever.
dryer.
Just keep your fit wheels down.